With the Nazis rapidly taking over parts of Russia during the Second World War, widespread manslaughter had become common. In such tough conditions, there was just one protector of the snowy forests, the Red Ghost. Even if he is known to have slain several Nazis and saved many more Russians, nobody knows much else about him. Is he just a sniper with perfect aim, or is he an immortal being? In the harsh Russian winter of 1941, a bunch of Nazi soldiers captured a couple of theater artists. Leonia, who was eerily styled to match Hitler, catches the eye of the Nazi captain, and he instructs them to perform. While his wife, Nina, fears for their lives, he proceeds to act out his part. But since it comes across as a bit of a mockery, the captain aims his gun at him, but suddenly he himself gets shot. While the captain breathes his last, his subordinates scramble to find cover but fail to save themselves. When the artists express their gratitude for the timely appearance of their savior, he just continues on his way through the forest. They didn't know it yet, but they had just been saved by the Red Ghost. Elsewhere, a group of Russian soldiers are seen making their way through the forest, carrying their injured general between them. When the group takes a break, two of them, Pops and Konstantin, find a guy they think is a fellow Russian almost frozen to death in the forest. Soon, the group gets on the move again and they take the guy with them. At nightfall, they take shelter to get some rest after a long day of walking through the forest. Everyone is tired and drained due to their endless mission of getting their general to a hospital. Pops, the older guy among them, assures the others that they will reach his friend's house by the next evening. In an attempt to lighten the mood, the general tells a joke. While this attracts hearty laughter from everyone, Vera, the female soldier among them, soon notices that the general had stopped responding, and the group sadly realizes that they had lost him. The next morning, a German commander, Braun, reaches the site where the Nazi soldiers were slain. His subordinate informs him that the death count, including these soldiers, had now reached 61 in just the past couple of months. Braun asks why they think that these deaths are connected and are possibly caused by the same person. He is then told about the Red Ghost being the only sniper in the area who was believed to be responsible for these deaths. The case is handed over to him, and a soldier named Klein proceeds to give him all the information he would require. Soon after everyone wakes up at the shelter that morning, they begin their daily trek through the snowy forest and eventually reach the house that was their destination. After checking for any potential danger, they enter the house and see a meal on the table along with a bottle of alcohol. While it seems tempting, they stay away from it because of the fear of it being poisoned. Apparently, this was a tactic adopted by the Germans to lure the Russians to their ends. While Vera wishes for a full meal, the frozen guy realizes that she was pregnant and helps her find a set of comfortable clothes to change into. Outside, Pops is disappointed to find the body of his friend, the house's owner. Meanwhile, Braun and his troops head to a public bath in the area to know more about the Russian method of the Black Banya. This public bath happens to be the same house where the Russian group is getting settled in. At the house, the group leaves the sergeant with Vera and heads towards the village for food and other supplies. A while later, she sees Braun arrive with his troops and finds a hiding place. When Braun comes through, he sees the table laid out with the untouched meal, and Klein tells him that they've been able to nab numerous Russians by this strategy. Meanwhile, the sergeant who was with Vera tracks down the rest of his group and informs them of the arrival of the Germans. At the house, the Germans have got hold of a piglet and are having fun dancing around with it till Braun steps out and puts an end to it. From her hiding place, Vera hears Braun complain to Klein about the lack of discipline in his team. From a safe distance, the Russian soldiers keep watch and try to ascertain how many Germans they would have to tackle to save Vera, while Pops gets the frozen guy to keep an eye on the Germans using their binoculars. He tells the group that they cannot behave recklessly and that they should instead be as smart as the Red Ghost if they were to tackle things right. Braun is told that the bathhouse will be warm enough in an hour, and Klein tries to talk him out of the Black Banya that Braun was so eager to experience for himself. Angered at being crossed, he lashes out and proclaims that he hasn't seen such a disobedient unit before. Outside, Pops continues to talk about the Red Ghost and says that he had already sent the bodies of at least 100 German soldiers back to their country after tearing off their uniforms. He says that the Germans deserve to be treated as such, since they've been going around burning down numerous Russian villages. Pops and Konstantin were the only ones left alive in their village, and they had decided to seek revenge from the Germans. While Braun and Klein discuss their next steps, Gunther follows his instinct and opens the trunk in which Vera was hiding. Shocked at discovering her there, he quietly shuts the lid and is about to leave when Braun stops him and gets him to open the trunk again. Once they get her out, Braun questions her regarding her pregnancy, and Gunther translates his questions for her. Curious to know if she has any information about the Red Ghost, Braun asks her about it. She tells him that she doesn't know anything and pleads for her life. Eager to get to the bathhouse, Braun was about to leave when Klein discovers Vera's uniform and some official identity papers. Disappointed about Vera's dishonesty, Braun leaves Klein to deal with her. Unable to process Klein's violence with Vera, Gunther rushes out and pukes while the troops stationed in the trench outside play some music to drown out Vera's screams. Her comrades are also alerted of her fate. A while later, a bloodied Vera walks out of the house followed by Klein, who pulls out his gun and takes aim. Vera curses at him in Russian and says that he won't live too long and that God will punish all of them. While a fight breaks out in the trench between the Germans and a couple of Russians, Gunther translates Vera's curse for Klein. He hands over his gun to Gunther and tells him to finish things off within the next couple of minutes. In the trench, the Russians are just about to finish their German counterparts while Gunther aims at Vera. Suddenly, he is shot by the mysterious and unseen Red Ghost, and a few others are finished in quick succession as well. While the Germans try to find who was causing the havoc, Vera manages to make a run and hide. Having somewhat of a liking for Vera, the frozen guy runs towards her. The rest of the Russians rush out to take their shots as well, while Klein joins Braun in the bathhouse. Since both of them do not have their weapons anymore, they plan to go outside and defend themselves. Klein rushes out a while after Braun but soon trips and falls over. When things quiet down with both sides waiting for the opposite side to make a mistake, the Russians move out from the trench. Just then, Klein opens his eyes. Still completely undressed from his time in the bathhouse, Braun asks for a rifle to be thrown to him which falls some distance away from him. Any attempt to get it will put him in danger, and hence he finds a rake with which to pull it towards himself. The rake gets shot at, and he quickly just picks the rifle up himself. At the sound of the gunshot, Klein goes back to feigning death. Braun's plan to distract fails as one of his own dies in the crossfire. Every attempt of the Germans to escape ends up futile as the Russians pick them off one by one. None of them seem to know that Klein was still among them, but with every other German put down, the Russians gather in the house for a meal. They discuss whether they were helped by the Red Ghost. One of them picks up some bread to give to Kostya, who was on guard outside. On his way back, he trips against Klein and kicks him, but doesn't realize that he was alive. While the others discuss which route they should take through the forest to avoid coming across more Germans, Vera informs them that it was almost time for her baby. Meanwhile, having escaped the house in a dress he found in the barn, Braun finally manages to find his way to a group of German soldiers. On the other hand, when the Russians are busy managing Vera, Klein escapes. Inside the house, a while later, with the help of Pops and the frozen guy, Vera gives birth to a healthy baby boy. While she rests with her newborn, the others get ready for yet another battle with the Germans. Having borrowed a uniform, Braun reaches the house along with the troops, and they begin firing grenades. While Vera tries to pacify her crying child, the frozen guy and Constantine take up positions around the windows to aim at the approaching Germans. Outside, Braun convinces the colonel to get a couple of troops to accompany him and finish the job to restore the honor that the Russians tarnished. But while the Germans continue to rain grenades, they are themselves taken out one at a time by the mysterious Red Ghost. Motivated by the Red Ghost's help, the Russians capitalize and take out a few more Germans and Constantine, and the frozen guy continue to aim perfectly as well. Unfortunately, though, they lose Pops. The Red Ghost continues to attack the Germans even as they attempt to make progress towards the house. One German soldier manages to get into the house where Vera was with her baby, and the frozen guy puts up a worthy fight before finishing things off. Outside, Braun comes face to face with the Red Ghost, and this turns into somewhat of a big clash. Just as it begins to look like Braun had bested the Red Ghost, things turn around, and he gets brutally attacked, which instantly ends his life. The Red Ghost walks a few steps when he is suddenly shot dead by Klein. As he celebrates his successful hunt, he gets taken down by someone. Later, Constantine finds the frozen guy with Vera and her son as the only survivors. A few weeks later, in a nearby village, the German police are asking the villagers if they know anything about the Red Ghost. Leonia steps up and tells them that he has seen the Red Ghost and that they can also see him back where he slayed several of their troops. When the leader orders his subordinate to finish Leonia for his cruel joke, he gets taken down, and the rest of the villagers tackle the others. In awe and gratitude for the Red Ghost, the villagers gather around as he leaves. When he looks back, he is indeed shown to be the Red Ghost who had finished numerous Germans and was solely responsible for the safety of several Russians.